In the blistering heat of Helmand province, with Taliban bullets cracking overhead like God's own thunder, a lone Navy corpsman knelt beside a dying Marine and whispered, "Hold on, devil dog, I've got you," while the SEAL commander's Barrett .50 cal roared in the distance, about to turn a quiet medic into the deadliest shot in the valley. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button right now and show some love to the heroes who keep us free. Sarah, Doc, Harlan had never fired anything bigger than a 9mm sidearm in training, and even then she'd missed the paper target half the time. She was 26, freckled, 5'4" in boots, and the only thing she carried into combat heavier than her aid bag was the guilt of every Marine she couldn't save. The men of February 1st called her ma'am when they were polite, Doc when they were bleeding, and Harlan when they were drunk on rippets and homesickness. She answered to all three. Her father had been a paramedic in Detroit, her mother a trauma nurse who once pulled a kid out of a burning car on I-75, medicine was the family trade, and Sarah wore the Red Cross on her sleeve like a birthmark. The convoy rolled out of Camp Dwyer at 0400 on a routine resupply run to a forward operating base the Marines had nicknamed FOB Regret. 10 vehicles, 30 souls, 1 Barrett M107 slung in the gun truck because Lieutenant Commander Jack Reaper Callahan never left home without it. Callahan was 41, sunbaked, quiet in the way men get when they've seen too many friends folded into body bags. He and Sarah had crossed paths twice before, once when she stitched a knife wound on his thigh, once when he carried a gut-shot private to her aid station while rounds stitched the air around them. Neither had spoken more than necessary. The ambush hit at 0712. RPGs first, then the chatter of PKMs from the ridgeline. The lead Humvee erupted in orange fire, the trail vehicle fishtailed into a canal. Sarah's truck, third in line, took a burst through the windshield that painted the dashboard red. The driver slumped forward, horn blaring. Sarah kicked the door open, dragged the gunner clear, and started triage in the drainage ditch while tracers snapped overhead. She worked fast, tourniquet, pressure bandage, morphine, next. The radio squawked with Reaper's voice, calm as Sunday morning, "All stations, this is Reaper 6. Bounding Overwatch to the high ground. Doc, keep those boys breathing." She didn't have time to wonder why a SEAL officer was giving orders to Marines. She just kept counting chest compressions. 30 to 2, 30 to 2. The kid under her hands, 19, maybe 20, had a sucking chest wound and eyes the color of Lake Michigan in winter. "Stay with me, baby," she told him. "You promised your mom you'd come home." He tried to smile. Blood bubbled on his lips. Then his eyes rolled white and the pulse in his carotid quit. That was when the Barrett spoke. The first round punched through a mud wall 200 meters away and turned a Taliban machine gun nest into pink mist. The second took the spotter leaning out to adjust fire. The third, impossible shot, wind gusting 20 knots, dropped the RPG gunner reloading on the ridge. Every Marine in the ditch felt the pressure wave in their teeth. Sarah looked up through the dust and saw Reaper prone on the hood of a wrecked truck, cheek welded to the cheek piece, one eye closed, the other colder than a grave. The fire slackened. The Taliban broke contact, melting into the green zone like smoke. Reaper's voice came over the net again, "Doc, I need you at the gun truck. Now." She ran bent at the waist, boots sliding in the powdery dirt. When she reached him, Reaper was bleeding from a shard of shrapnel in his neck, arterial spray painting the turret red. The Barrett lay across his lap like a sleeping dragon. "Lost my spotter," he said. His voice sounded wet. "You any good with a ruler and a wind call?" "I'm a medic, sir." "You're what I've got." He pressed the rifle into her hands. It weighed more than her ruck. Range cards taped to the stock. Winds left to right, 8 to 10. Targets the tree lean, 800 meters. "I'll walk you through it." Sarah wanted to tell him she'd never touched a .50 cal, that her job was saving lives, not taking them. Instead she climbed into the gunner's sling, knees shaking. The scope picture swam, heat shimmer, dust devils, adrenaline. Reaper's hand settled on her shoulder, steady as stone. Breathe out. Front sight on the trunk of the middle pomegranate tree. Up 2 mils for elevation. When you're ready, send it. She squeezed. The rifle bucked like a mule. The round struck 6 inches low, throwing bark into the air. Again, Reaper said. Hold higher. Trust the dope. Second round clipped the tree and kept going. Third round found the sniper who'd been trying to flank them. The body dropped out of the branches like a sack of flour. Reaper grinned through the blood. Welcome to the fight, document. Medevac came in hot 40 minutes later, rotors whipping the dust into cyclones. Sarah rode the bird with 5 criticals, holding plasma bags aloft while the crew chief screamed headings over the turbine roar. Reaper was strapped to a litter, pale but conscious. He caught her eye and mouthed 2 words, thank you. Back at Dwyer, the story grew legs. A medic with 9 confirmed kills in a single firefight. The Marines started calling her, 50 cal document. Someone painted a tiny red cross on the Barrett suppressor. Sarah hated it. She scrubbed blood out from under her nails for 3 days and still saw it when she closed her eyes. 3 weeks later the battalion surgeon pulled her aside. You're being reassigned, Harlan. Temporary duty with the SEAL platoon. They asked for you by name. She laughed until she realized he wasn't joking. The platoon operated out of a compound the size of a gas station, ringed by HESCO barriers and bad intentions. Reaper met her at the gate wearing desert tans and a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Heard you missed me, document. I heard you missed an artery by half an inch. Touché. They fell into a rhythm. She patched holes, he made new ones. Nights, they sat on ammo crates drinking contraband coffee, trading stories. He told her about BUD/S, about the instructor who made him tread water with a rucksack full of bricks until his legs went numb. She told him about the night in Detroit when her dad carried a gunshot victim 3 blocks to the rig because the ambulance was late. Neither mentioned the ambush. Some things you just carry. Then came the mission to Sanjin. Intel said a high-value Taliban commander, call sign Mongoose, would transit a village bazaar at dusk. Reaper's orders, observe, identify, neutralize if opportunity presented. Sarah's orders, keep the team alive. The twist nobody saw coming, Mongoose wasn't transiting. He was holding court in a fortified compound, ringed by civilians he'd herded inside as shields. Reaper's spotter took a round through the scope an hour before dusk. The kid, 22, from Ohio, died in Sarah's arms whispering his girlfriend's name. Reaper's face went blank, the way a man's does when the math stops adding up. We're not leaving him, he said. Sarah looked at the compound, at the women and children pressed against the windows, at the machine gun nests on the rooftops. We can't shoot through that. We won't. He handed her the Barrett. You will. The plan was insane. Sarah would climb the minaret of the abandoned mosque 300 meters away, use the height for a clear line of sight, and take out the guards one by one while Reaper's assault team breached from the rear. The risk, if she missed, civilians died. If she hesitated, the team died. If the Taliban spotted her first, everybody died. She climbed the spiral stairs with the rifle slung across her back, each step creaking like a coffin lid. At the top, wind whipped her ponytail across the scope. She could see the compound clear as a photograph, guards smoking on the roof, Mongoose pacing the courtyard in a black turban, a little girl clutching a rag doll near the gate. Sarah's finger trembled on the trigger. Reaper's voice crackled in her earpiece, clocks ticking, document. You've got this. She exhaled, found the first guard in the crosshairs. The round left the barrel at 2,800 feet per second. The guard dropped without a sound. Second guard turned, confused. Second round took him center mass. The courtyard erupted, shouts, running feet, doors slamming. Sarah worked the bolt, chambered another round, ignored the brass pinging off the stone around her. Mongoose looked straight up at the minaret, as if he could see her through the scope. He raised an AK and sprayed the tower. Bullets whined off the dome. Sarah ducked, heart hammering so hard she tasted copper. When she popped back up, Mongoose was dragging the little girl toward a truck, using her as a shield. Sarah's training said disengage. Her father's voice said save the kid. She did the math, wind 3 knots left to right, range 312 meters, child's head at chest level. She adjusted the scope, held on the sliver of turban visible above the girl's shoulder, and squeezed. The .50 caliber round punched through Mongoose's forehead and kept going, taking the truck's windshield with it. The girl screamed, dropped the doll, ran. Sarah didn't watch where she went. She was already tracking the next threat. The assault team breached 30 seconds later. Reaper's voice in her ear, clear the roof, document coming to you. She climbed down on legs that felt borrowed. Reaper met her at the bottom, face streaked with sweat and someone else's blood. He didn't say thank you. He just looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Back at base, the after-action report read like fiction. 12 enemy Kia, 0 civilian casualties, 1 SEAL spotter lost. The girl with the doll was reunited with her mother. Someone took a photo of Sarah holding the Barrett, Red Cross Stark against her camis, and it ended up on the cover of Stars and Stripes with the headline, Medic turned Sniper Saves Village. The legend grew. Recruits asked for her autograph. A congressman wanted to pin a medal on her chest. Sarah wanted a shower and 8 hours of sleep without dreaming of pomegranate trees. Then the second twist came. 3 days after Sanjin, Reaper found her in the aid station inventorying morphine. We've got a problem, he said. Intel just ID'd the spotter who killed Ramirez. Same guy you dropped in the first ambush. He had a brother. Brother's a bomb maker. And he's coming for you. Sarah laughed, short, sharp, humorless. Let him come. He already did. Reaper slid a grainy photo across the table, a suicide vest rigged with C4, detonator wired to a garage door opener. Left this outside the wire with your name on it. In English. That night Sarah sat on the roof of the aid station, Barrett across her lap, staring at the stars. She thought about the kid from Ohio who'd never see another sunrise. About the little girl who'd never forget the sound a .50 cal makes when it ends a monster. About the weight of a rifle that could save a life or take one, depending on who pulled the trigger. Reaper joined her, silent for a long time. Finally he said, "You ever think about getting out? Going home? Every day? What's stopping you?" She looked at him, really looked. The lines around his eyes, the scar on his neck where she'd stitched him up, the way he carried other people's pain like it was his own. Same thing stopping you. He nodded, understanding something neither of them would say aloud. The final twist came at dawn. The bomb maker didn't come alone. He brought a dozen fighters, suicide vests, and a burning need for vengeance. They hit the wire at 0500, RPGs walking across the perimeter like the wrath of God. Sarah was already moving, aid bag in one hand, Barrett in the other. She reached the motor pool as the first explosion took out the guard tower. Marines were falling back, radios screaming for fire support that wasn't coming. Reaper's voice cut through the chaos, "Doc, east wall. They're inside the wire." She ran. A fighter rounded the corner, vest blinking red. Sarah dropped the aid bag, brought the Barrett up one-handed, impossible shot, but adrenaline makes its own rules, and put a round through the detonator. The vest cooked off harmlessly, shredding the bomber but sparing the blast radius. She kept moving. Another fighter on the roof of the Chow Hall, lining up an RPG on the aid station. Sarah climbed a Konex box, steadied the rifle on a sandbag, and took the shot. The fighter folded over the parapet. By the time the QRF arrived, the fight was over. 8 enemy dead, no friendly Kias. The bomb maker lay in the dirt, vest intact, a single .50 caliber hole through his heart. Sarah stood over him, rifle smoking, hands steady for the first time in weeks. Reaper found her there. "It's done," he said. "Is it?" He didn't answer. He just took the Barrett from her shaking hands and slung it across his back. Together they walked to the aid station, stepping over brass and bodies, the sunrise painting the sky the color of fresh blood. 6 months later Sarah rotated home. The Navy gave her a Bronze Star with V and a quiet ceremony no one attended except her parents. She went back to Detroit, took a job in the ER, and tried to forget the sound a .50 cal makes when it speaks. Some nights she woke up reaching for a rifle that wasn't there. Then the letter came. Handwritten, no return address. Inside, a single photograph of the little girl from Sanjin, older now, holding a new doll. On the back, in childish scrawl, "Thank you, Dr. Lady." Sarah pinned it above her desk. Next to it she hung the range card from the Barrett, wind calls and elevations written in Reaper's precise block letters. She never saw him again, but sometimes on quiet nights she'd hear the echo of a big rifle across the desert, and she'd smile. Because Sarah Harlan was just a medic, until the day a SEAL commander's Barrett .50 cal reminded her that sometimes the line between saving a life and taking one is measured in mils, and the only thing that matters is who's behind the trigger when the world needs saving. Now tell me in the comments, from what part of this great country are you watching? Drop your state loud and proud, because every hero has a hometown, and I want to know yours.